Hello, and today we'll be playing Devil's Gambit. It's a new VN that came out several days ago. I mainly decided to try this VN out because the writer for Neris, Radio, he writes for Devil's Gambit. There are people from Monitor Hotel who are also involved in the VN, as well as someone named Alpha Zero. I don't know anything about this VN. It does center around these three characters you see. So let's go ahead and start. One morning, a lion knight invited us into a wagon. Clean, relatively silent, with splinter-free seats as it took us into the forest. Dad made me read him a book since I was falling behind in my studies. However, the twisted trees bleeding us through the front opening past the wolf coachman stole all my attention despite his stern gaze and him telling me to read a sentence over again. My head was full of what had happened in the tavern the day before. While Dad drank with the wolves, I talked to the keeper's daughter, a girl about my age with gray fur, round eyes, and an empress smile by the name of Triasa. She asked typical questions. Why were my ears so round and my nose so big? Where did I come from? When the girl got bored, she shot a glance at the adults before showing me that toothy smile. You know, there are demons in the forest. The lions say they are gone, but they aren't. What? You know, that expedition that Duke did a while ago? Well, it was demons that killed his soldiers. The demons did it. What pride that last remark had carried. Eventually, the path led us to an open area, and the wagon came to a halt. We got off and saw, past our fading breath, a mansion that seemed more like a castle. Tall and white, with a tower for every corner. A small garden separated us from the steps that led up to the entrance. Standing among the bushes, tulips, and pebbles, at his feet was a young wolf that staring up at the window. His clothes were modest, his neck gray, his hands and face white, sort of like a badger. When he noticed us and turned around, I got a good look at his blue fiery yet fiery eyes. It lasted long enough to make his distrust palpable. Then he sought the window a last glance before turning to face the nearby trees and began tossing pebbles toward the crooked branches. Hector! Oh, yes, Dad? You're so scatterbrained today. I'm sorry. A guard is coming. Pay attention and remember to greet him the way I taught you. A tall lion wielding a spear shook hands with my father. It's an honor to be in your presence, sir. I'm Ergen, and this is my son Hector. I opened my mouth, but the guard cut in. We've been expecting you, daughter. Please step inside. His Grace will want to see you post-haste. And so, Dad forgot all about my greeting. We followed the guard inside and upstairs. I was told to wait on the lower floor, and that if I needed anything, I called one of the other guards or a servant. But I kept worrying about the greeting. I sat on the first step of the stairs, clutching my knees. I didn't think there was any moment I could have introduced myself, and Dad forgot that maybe it wasn't important. With that as reassurance, I calmed down and looked at my surroundings. Wherever my eyes went, there were paintings, suits of armors, packed bookshelves, and display cases containing weapons or smaller cases with gems inside or other exciting things. So much wealth, it must have taken me hundreds of lifetimes of work to build this hall. It was best not to touch anything, but I was getting bored, and there was no sign of the adults returning. A stroll wouldn't hurt. Down the hallway, leading further into the mansion, there were faint smells of spices, fresh clothes, and wolves. There must have been servants working there. The guards were all over the place, but most of them were down the path to my right. I figured I'd go to the left. Then, since I didn't want to bump into anyone. However, as I walked down to the desolate hallway, my nose let me know that I wasn't alone after all. I didn't need to see him to know he was a wolf. I turned around suddenly, right in time to catch him trying to hide inside one of the empty rooms. "Oh, it's you. Were you following me? What's your name?" We stared at each other for who knows how long. Kagan finally stepped forward, wearing an unflinching glare. He was shorter than me and somewhat skinnier. The blue of his eyes and the sheen of his fur captivated me. "Get out." "What?" "Get out of the mansion. Demons live in this forest." "Oh, you're just like Tracer, trying to scare me." His ear twitches. "Tracer?" "Are you guys friends?" "I'm being serious." He opened his arms, inviting me to look around. "The demons chase out the people living here. They'll do the same to you because you're an outsider. They'll curse you. You'll be lucky to leave alive." "I don't believe you. Tracer said they only do that if you go into the valley. Not that they are real, but if they were. Ask anyone, you'll see." It frustrated Kagan that where he wanted fear, there was instead curiosity. "Anyway, who are you?" "I'm Hector. I'm training to become a doctor like my dad." "Are you the son of a servant?" "I'm nobody's servant." I was taken aback by his sudden rage. He shoved me, and I landed on my butt. Then the wolf turned tail and ran away. I chased after him, but he turned a corner, and I lost him, or my eyes did. I followed his trail to the garden, to a little corner hidden by bushes reaching up to my shoulders. Kagan sat cracking open nuts with his teeth before munching on the insides. His tail switched, disturbing the brush behind him, and every once in a while he pulled on his collar, as though hot under the sun. Either I had some noise or he smelled me back, because suddenly his face my way. He gave me a taste of wolf knuckle and one nice grass and dirt, as well as bloody nostrils. When Dad finally descended the stairs and asked what happened, I said I slipped down the steps while going to the garden. Anyway, I returned to the same spot a few days later, bringing a dozen or so nuts rather than a cloth. Kagan eyed me with suspicion, but it didn't hit me this time. "Where did you get those?" I pointed at my nose. Caught the smell. We were eating them the other day, so I went to the forest and found some. Well, you didn't get lost. All badgers are great foragers. Can I sit? I'll sell some if you would let me. The wolf looked away, and I invited myself into the small space. I put the cloth between us. Some nuts rolled out. We ate them while talking. "You haven't told me your name." "I'm Hector." "You already know it." "I'd like to hear it from you." "Fine, Kagan." "That's a nice name." "Hey, I caught your smell in the forest." "Well, yes, I sneak out sometimes. Where else will I find nuts?" "I heard you weren't allowed out there. Aren't you afraid of the guards catching you, or of the Duke getting mad?" "They used to get mad, but now they know I'll be back." Dad said Kagan was an orphan. It was better to change the subject unless I wanted an angry wolf to rough me up today, too. Dad woke up to a spider in his suit today. Kagan snorted. Oh, what did he say? Say, he was in the middle of putting it on when he noticed it. He screamed, chased the bug around, and tossed it out the window where he caught it. Must be the curse. Sure. A chuckle escaped me as well. Even Dad had gotten a laugh out of it after the fear passed. When do you go into the forest next? Whenever I want, I guess. I want to come along. Kagan made a face as though he was in deep thought. I guess you prove you can handle it. You aren't that much of a wimp. I'm not. Will swiped a nut from my hand, cracked it, spat the shell out, and opened his jaw wide. After holding that position for a moment, he laughed and tossed it back at me. I caught it after it hit my chest. Kagan went on about the forest, but I was still repeating what had just happened in my mind. The moment he stole the nut and cracked it, his face, his sharp teeth, his claws, each left a searing mark in my memory. Thunder tears through the sky, startling me awake. The beats of burning war, the peg-leg coachman's shouts joining them as he reins them in. I grasp my chest as the old wolf subdues the creatures. He then looks back, smelling his shape obscured by the darkness of his raincoat. You alright, boy? Hold it up. We're almost there. Yes, thank you. He refocuses on the road. I peek through the wagon's front opening, past the coachman, but all I see is rain, mud, and orange lights. In the distance, he was right, judging from the last one. Were you having a pleasant dream? Yes. What about? Some beauty, I bet. Actually, it was about my first visit to R9. So this is your second time. I lost count. I used to pass through every few months with my father. The coachman snaps his fingers. Right, the badger doctor, his kid. You're the kid, right? You grow into a proper doctor. Can tell just by looking at you. You stopped in Leopoldino's mansion, if memory serves me right. Did you meet any demons? They used to say it was a mistake building in the forest, that the demons would chase him out. It wasn't haunted, no, but I don't think living in the middle of that forest in such a big empty house is healthy for the mind. Because Leopoldino lived there for years, and the new duke settled there right after assuming his title. You must be right. The new duke? He summoned you, right? Your daddy worked under Leopoldino, and now you work under his son. That's faithful. What happened to Leopoldino? He died a little more than a year ago. His son took over after that. Let me tell you, if you thought Leopoldino was a beast, then his son is an absolute demon. The lowest light, I think a window, passes by the coachman and the wagon slows down. The rain falls in full fury, droplet after droplet bouncing off the old wolf's raincoat and splashing onto the floor. We're here, kid. Hurry and go. There's a tavern nearby. One of my case above me, hop off the back into the storm. The coachman shouts and the wagon departs while I try to find my way within the blur of rain and wind. The noise of me rushing into the building draws some gazes. A few linger, though in time all return to their friends, their drinks, or a lamp hanging from a wall. Most of the patrons are wolves, with a few lions mixed in, though the latter group doesn't look like guards. They must have gotten caught in the storm and taken refuge here as evidenced by the occasional water droughts and the wet fur smell. Sitting at a table in the corner is a lion dressed in silky clothes, and the middle-aged wolf with an arm and a cast and an eye patch. The canine stares into an empty mug while the lion whispers to him. Outside there's alcohol and the sweet smell of stew being prepared in the air, which immediately reminds me how hungry I am. I only notice this extraordinary thing about this tavern when I find the bar. Behind it is a gold-plated dragon, probably the largest man I've ever seen. He's already waving for me to get closer, a wide smile on his face. And God, what a smile. It takes me back to the way Dad looked at me after I had treated my first patient. Hey, welcome to Orwell's nest. I'm Orwell. Looking for food or a room? Both, please. How long are you planning to stay? I'm not sure. Let's say for a while. He inspects me from head to toe. I got a special offer for you. You get a room and 2 meals, just for 25 coins a day. I cringe those last words, but still reach inside my wallet. 25? Sorry, friend, but I know you can afford it. It's clear as day you want his grace's new daughters. Never has someone with me also earnestly. I could wait until the rain drops to check the other ends, but walking off after that smile would leave me with an unpleasant taste in my mouth. Besides, I can afford it. Alright, sure, you got me. Thank you kindly. Here's your key. Orwell invites me to sit at the bar, saying lunch will be ready soon, but I would much rather unpack. First, I go up to the creaky staircase to the second floor and to a third door to my left. The storm's howling is like a lullaby in a dark, musty room. My eyelids get heavier than my belly's rumbling keeps the slumber at bay. I open my case on the bed to unpack, but first I look for something to dry myself. I glance at the window, focusing on the droplets splashing against me. Does he still live in Ranai? I wonder. What does he look like now? Will we recognize each other if we meet? A sight escapes my lips. Wherever you are, I hope there's a roof over your head, Kagan. Next, I check my belt bag. It's properly stocked. My glasses, a few elixirs, bandages, and a pair of gloves are all packed tightly inside. This way I don't need to worry about an emergency catching me with my pants down. I'm in the middle of assembling my brewing equipment when a muffled sound comes from downstairs. Maybe Orwell is calling me because the food is ready, although it didn't sound like him. It continues and it's getting louder. Curious, I make my way to the staircase to peek down. Orwell's looking a third of his size, practically crouched behind the bar. The wolf, with an arm and a cast, is standing up now, hurling bare-fanged accusations at the lion. The feline glares at him, his hands clasped on the table. You can't do this to me. Where will my family go? Be quiet, mongrel. This is out of my control. It's your responsibility to pay your taxes on time. That said, if you lack coin, and you are unwilling to let go of your property, which in actuality belongs to his grace, there are plenty of other ways to repay your debt. A snarl escapes the wolf's mouth as he grabs the mug and raises it high up. The wide-eyed lion abandons his bravado and tries to dodge, but it's too late. The canine swings the mug down, only for someone to catch his wrist. During their argument, Orwell had run into the kitchen, called out a name. A wolf came out after, only caught a glimpse of a blue cape and a gray back as he dashed toward the Commotion. This newcomer, tall and wide as a mountain, had stopped to swing at the last second. I'm transfixed by him, trying to extract as much detail as possible from what little the cape leaves exposed. It's when he looks at the other wolf and I see his face that my mind goes numb. My legs take me downstairs of their own accord. Damn you, Kagan. Let go. Stop it, son. What good will it do you to attack him? I don't care. What's the worst that'll happen? Me being thrown in jail? Ha! At least then I can sleep under a roof. You're naive if you think the Duke will be so merciful to a man who can't even work a plot of land. Put the mug down. Son struggles against the bigger man's grip to no avail. Eventually, he lowers his ears in resignation and does as commanded, at which point Kagan releases him. The lion clears his throat. It's good that at least one of you is reasonable. Kagan frowns at the lion. Is this about his debt again? The Duke's patience and mercy have their limits. He must repay it one way or another. How much? Excuse me. How much is it? I'll pay for him. He reaches for his purse, but saw him protest, sock in his eye. He can't, Kagan. You don't have that money. You don't have that much money either. What's your plan then? I don't know, but I earn more than the most. Believe me, I'll be all right. You're the one in need here, son. It's a rough time for all of us. We need to support each other, or else Warnai might break for good. I'm only doing what's right. Kagan. The small wolf can't hold his tears anymore. Kagan pats him on the shoulder and then continues their conversation about payment with the debt collector. I'm dumbstruck on the bottom step, a foolish expression plastered all over my face. It takes a wolf wanting to get to his room to drag me back to reality. Hey, do you mind getting out of the way? Oh, I'm so sorry. I was just, The canine raises an eyebrow and shakes his head before proceeding upstairs. Even after the tax collector leaves, preferring the company to reign over the wolves, there's tension in the air. Orwell tries to soothe everybody's mood by announcing lunch is ready. Kagan pats Saw on the shoulder one more time and goes to sit at the bar. I stare at Kagan all the while. Is it really him? God, he might be shorter than Orwell, but that mountain-like disposition makes him seem the biggest person in the room. And speaking of the dragon, he gestures for me to come closer. What are you doing? Why not take a seat, buddy? Yes, you're right, thank you. Every joint and sinew feels rigid as I sit next to Kagan. Goodness, why am I so nervous? Are you afraid he'll greet you by snapping you in half like a twig, Hector? Wait, that isn't so unlikely. I'm afraid I didn't catch your name earlier, friend. Hector. I'm Hector of Arbon. The wolf's ears twitch, and slowly he looks up from the counter. By the time Kagan's gaze falls on me, I'm resigned to whatever fate he has in store for his old friend. Back in the day, a tackle and a chokehold had become his mandatory greeting after months of absence. He was a child then. Now he's a giant. Surely he will strangle me dead with his biceps and forearm. But despite knowing my inevitable demise, I feel at peace, even giddy. However, the wolf merely looks at me. Well, that's a face I haven't seen in a long time. Indeed, you've grown. His ears twitches. You've become a full-fledged doctor. You two know each other. We go way back, isn't that right, Hector? It cleared my throat most of the time to gather my wits. Kagan was one of my father's patients, but we became great friends during that time. I didn't know if you still lived in town, but I was planning to look for you after seeking the Duke, to think we'd run into each other right away. Until he went, from the times before Orwell's nest, when trees and pale sunlight surrounded us near the Duke's mansion, blows past my ears. It doesn't disturb me, because Kagan leads the way with that expression hotter than any flame, stone or iron. Before I let you two catch up, will you like a drink, Hector? The first was on the house. Oh, of course, thank you. It smells great. And one for Kagan, for helping son. Appreciate it. Orwell retreats into the kitchen to finish preparing lunch. We take sips from our drinks while we talk. You seemed surprised a while ago. Well, I was expecting to find a skinny wolf about my height. What have you been doing to earn that physique? A lot of jobs, most of them unremarkable. Nowadays I'm a lumberjack and the town's unofficial peacekeeper. I slapped the bar, cackling. You, peacekeeper? You're joking. No, I'm serious. They were surfacing childhood memories, bring a smile to his face. It's a small, fragile thing, and it only lasts for an instant. Then he's back to that serious expression. What does Warnai even need a peacekeeper for? We never heard about there being much trouble in town. Yes, it used to be peaceful, but things change. Kagan suddenly turns towards the kitchen. Where is it? The food's ready. Orwell exits the kitchen, carrying an enormous iron pot and begins serving the stew, which is A rather simple mix of egg, meat, and some fruit or vegetable I don't recognize. The latter part gives it an exotic smell that makes my stomach twist in hunger. Because we always stayed in the Duke's mansion and didn't taste the local cuisine much, Leopoldino preferred ingredients imported from his homeland. I could barely resist shoving the first few spoonfuls into my mouth. Control yourself, Hector. Don't embarrass yourself in front of Kagan so soon. What's on Kagan? No, thank you. The free beer was enough compensation. Let me treat you to a bowl then. You don't have to. Yes, let me treat him. This one's for helping me in the kitchen. Orwell serves the wolf stew anyway and walks away. After my stomach is half full and my plate half empty, I recall what Kagan said before the dragon returned. Even having noticed the darkness behind those words, my curiosity gets the best of me. What did you mean earlier by the town changing? Do you not know what's happening? I figured something bad happened, but the job description was very vague. It just said the Duke was summoning many doctors here. The wolf falls silent for a moment. It started with Manolino's arrival. Leopoldino wasn't a good ruler, but he knew there were limits to how much he should intervene with town life. He ruled one night with an iron fist, but knew it was more profitable to keep it sane and running. Manolino, he doesn't care. He's been pulling people away from their jobs, getting the mango out there in the valley, and sending them back home, expecting them to work and pay taxes as though they didn't break an arm. That's what happened earlier. That was awful. I thought there had been a flood, a big accident or something to that effect. I didn't think it would be this bad. But Manolino, oh, do you mean Manuel? I knew they were related, but to think he was Leopoldino's heir. Sorry, I picked up the habit of calling him that from the others. Make sure you call him Your Grace and all that. One more thing. The wolf lowers his voice and drags his chair closer. The touch of his arm against mine startles me. Whatever you do, avoid mentioning the legends about the demons to the Duke. If he brings them up, just let him talk and nod, and don't contradict him. He's not a fan of folklore, huh? Kagan side eyes a nearby table where some lions sit. It's not that, but let's talk about it later, when we don't have as much company. So how about you, Hector? How's life treated you these last years? Slowly I stir what remains of my stew. Memories of one night are nothing but sweet, but I never think about what happened next. When I woke up, I pretend I don't know when I became a doctor or why Dad's gone. When I go to bed, it comes back to me. I shut my eyes and hope I can ignore the noise until sunrise. Maybe Kagan wonders how come he didn't see me for 9 years, or if the situation in my town got resolved. I hope, but I don't, that he pries me open, wakes me up from this dream where the past doesn't exist outside of Waianae. But then, what can I tell him? Let's see, surely it wasn't all bad. Find something that doesn't sour this otherwise happy reunion. How about this? Dad has passed away. Now you answer the call of his clients from the city, the merchants and noblemen who called for Dr. Organ. Give you a look when a badger half his age, with eyes round like plates, and shaky hands shows up on their doorstep. Shaky hands are such a bad sign. Can you be trusted to handle chemicals, to not screw up when infusing elixirs with magic? God, you can't handle a needle like that, let alone a knife. But you convinced them all. You aren't like your father, you are better. Even Mr. Daniels, always so rude, acknowledges it. He puts it best. You are a masterpiece. Dr. Egan's masterpiece, 26 years and counting in the making. Still in the making. So I tell Kagan about Dad's old clients, how they had reacted when I sold up, and how impressed they were afterwards when Mr. Daniels had hit me in the face with my medical bag because he feared I'd slip and stab him with the needle while doing his stitches. You're very skilled from the sound of it. Had you been born a lion, you'd be in the capital working for the nobles and whatnot. You flatter me, but well, life dealt me different cards. Not that I'm complaining. Yes, what about your father then? Did he retire? No, he's gone. Oh, I'm sorry. Kagan looks at the arrangement of glasses and bottles in front of him. It happened a long time ago, so it doesn't bother me anymore. Hey, what's his, what was her name? Something with T? Tracer? She's doing well, she's expecting. Yes, her. It is her first child. Third, she had twins, both troublemakers like their mother, but both troublemakers like their mother. Don't tell her I said that. Which reminds me, what about you, Hector? What? Children? Do you have any? No. I have too much work to meet with anybody, let alone think about children. Even if I had time, I don't know if I want any. The wolf takes his mug, staring at the swirling substance for a long time before taking a big gulp. I see. The storm's letting up. Its lullaby reduced to a pitter patter, and to clean up my plate, I stopped to take a long look at the wolf while he finishes his. The last time I saw him, he was shorter and skinnier than me, but that didn't make him any less admirable. Now he wouldn't be out of place illustrated as a hero of a legend or some epic. It fills me with pride that my friend has grown to such a fine man. I'm pretty rotund myself, of course, but with muscles like that, he could lift me with one arm and not break a sweat. The pride must be visible on my face because when Kagan notices me looking, his smile and the glimmer in his eyes are the same as he would have whenever he sold off. Look away, feeling self-conscious suddenly. After finishing his food, Kagan looks towards the windows. I should go. So soon? What for? Got some wood to deliver. Got to keep everybody warm. The rain helped me for longer than I had liked. We get up, and I follow him to the door. The breeze coming from outside surprises me, making me shiver, but it's not pouring down as hard anymore. Well, I'm glad I got to talk to you again, Kagan. Me too. The wolf stops and turns to me with a thoughtful expression, thinking I would head back inside right away. He puts a hand on my shoulder. He pulls me closer, but it's his rugged touch and the now powerful smell of tree bark and damp earth that pin me in place. What will you do? I'll take a nap until the rain stops before I head to the Duke's mansion. Sounds good, remember what I told you. Yes, don't talk about demons, don't disagree with him. Will you be alright? You already sound nervous. I'm not used to how big you've gotten. Oh, my bad. He passed me on the shoulder before letting me go. I'll come around again tomorrow. Let's talk more then. I smile. I look forward to it. I'm surprised to find my room colder than when I left it. The first suspect is a window, but it's closed indeed. Behind the glass and below is a lamppost. In the middle of the street, a few shops on the other side, and further back, the forest's outline. Must be because of the rain, I suppose. Or maybe it's me. What lends credence to the latter hypothesis is that laying under two blankets, one from the room and the other from home, doesn't help. Is it my flesh? It's not a fever. I'm not coughing or leaking from my nostrils. Maybe nerves. Then, I just hope it passes. Okay, so I think I'll stop right here. Yeah, I'll make a save after. Have to get used to this, this. So that was Devil's Gambit. So we got to be introduced to the two characters, the main characters here, Hector and Kagan. This is a name I get that trips me. It's kind of a little difficult for me to pronounce, but I gotta get used to it. So Hector is the son of a doctor. After the 11-year time skip, his father dies and he becomes a doctor himself, and Kagan was an orphan who lived in the palace with the Duke, I think. And 11 years later, he ends up being the protector of the town and being a lumberjack. And apparently he went through a huge growth spurt because the badger, Hector, he's bigger than Kagan, and then after this 11-year time skip, he towers over Hector, and he's very muscular. So I guess, anyway, 11 years can do a lot. So the wolf behind them, I think, is a demon. We'll have to see as we continue, but there's a lot of talk about this demon, and so, and apparently Kagan is a big believer in the demon's existence. So right now I kinda like this game. This being here by Wadio. We'll continue with it next time. There's a lot more to it. So thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.